Welcome to the papiNet webinar on the converting process. This webinar is intended for business audience for paper, board and wood suppliers and their converters. The content of this webinar include what papiNet is, converting operations overview, the SCOR model, use cases. papiNet is an international initiative with focus on the paper and forest industries. papiNet is an e-document standard built on the XML language. An e-document is an electronic media content, other than computer programs, that are intended to be used in either an electronic form or as a printed output. The standard is designed by the paper and forest industry, customers and suppliers, with focus on the supply chain processes. papiNet is not a hub, a system or a software. The standard is a vehicle for moving content via internet from A to B, regardless of the sender or receiver process and systems. The standard is freely available to anyone. With the papiNet standards, companies will no longer need to negotiate and agree on data definitions and formats with each trading partner. papiNet is a global community facilitating supply chain processes for the forest and paper industries, including products such as packaging, labels and books. With the help of the customer and suppliers, an industry standard has been developed to enable the automation of the industry business flows. This slide shows the existing papiNet user groups. User groups provide assistance implementing the standard. Implementations group within the market segments of the industry have been formed. Their mission is to agree upon the general business rules, processes, and then a suggested implementation, a reference implementation that can be used as a template of the papiNet standard that is applicable for the particular segment. The papiNet standard incorporates the needs of each market segment supply chain processes. This graph illustrates how much value all partners may gain as the level of integration increases. Typically, partners start a project on the first level, or the management, with exchanging at least one e-document of the set. After they get comfortable, they usually try to capture more value by implementing additional e-documents and therefore moving to a higher integration level. This webinar, Converting, is one of many variants within the supply chain visibility process. Definition of converting. Converting operation consists of treating, modifying, or otherwise manipulating a semi-finished material like wood, paper, or board so that it can be made into end-user products. Converting can be done by internal or external parties. In papiNet terms, this process describes the subcontracting of converting operations on behalf of the supplier. Examples of the converting processes. For example, paper conversion can be used to produce such products such as envelopes, paper bags, boxes, containers, and a full range of similar items. Operations involved in paper converting may include treating, slitting, sheeting, corrugating, coating, punching, embossing, and folding. Some operations may also call for perforating, binding, gluing, ream wrapping, and laminating. Another example is relabeling of finished material. The material is either available from stock or will be sent to the converter. Supply Chain Operation Reference Model SCOR is a process reference model developed by management consulting firm PRTM and AMR Research and endorsed by the Supply Chain Council SCC. As the cross-industry de facto standard diagnostic tool for supply chain management. SCOR enables users to address, improve, and communicate supply chain management practices within and between all interested parties in the extended enterprise. This slide is showing the scope of papiNet development. You see all e-documents designed by the market segments to support their needs within the SCOR supply chain model. The green highlighted e-documents are supporting the converting process. Often, business partners utilize the business acknowledgement e-document to confirm receipts of an e-document. The orange highlighted e-documents are supporting business acceptance. The next slides will show you 3 use cases as examples of the converting process. These examples are common practices described by the papiNet community. Here you see the definition of capacity converting. The supplier sends cutter reels to the converter. These reels are dedicated to a customer order. The process is triggered by a purchase order from the customer to the supplier. The supplier then converts it into a production order, which is sent to the converter. The delivery message communicates the material, e.g. reel numbers, which will be shipped to the converter for processing. The converter may report with the order status e-document when production has started and been completed. Inventory change gives an update on the raw material and converted stock. It can also include waste stock. The order status and inventory change documents can be repeated several times. The frequency is depending on the agreement between the partners. The logistics and invoicing process is not described on this slide, but will be fulfilled by means of papiNet e-documents. Use case number 2, service converting. The converter takes reel from cutter reel stock for converting. Usually, the ownership of the cutter reel stock belongs to the supplier. The reason for replenishing the raw material stock is usually defined in an agreement between the business parties. Raw material can be cutter reels, pallets, etc. The process may be triggered either by a forecast or a purchase order from the supplier. The delivery message communicates the material, e.g. reel numbers, which will be shipped to the converter for processing. In case the converter has received a purchase order or a forecast document, he can decide to start converting before the purchase order is placed. In this case, he has to report the change of inventory by the inventory change e-document. Otherwise, the conversion process is triggered by a purchase order from the customer to the converter. This is then following the process in use case 1. The converter may report with the order status e-document when production has started and been completed. Inventory change gives an update on the raw material and converted stock. It can also include waste stock. The order status and inventory change documents can be repeated several times. The logistics and invoicing process is not described on this slide, but will be fulfilled by means of papiNet e-documents. Both processes in picture, replenishment and use case 1, can be repeated several times in non-linear fluid fashion. Use case number 3, inventory transfer. Definition. Request. The inventory classification can be changed. The goods can be destroyed, shipped to another location, or physically changed, converted. Examples are relabeling of goods, reallocating goods from one or several orders to another order, relocating goods from one or several locations to another location, destroying or scrapping goods. The process is triggered by an inventory disposition instruction from the supplier to the converter, instructing to convert goods. The converter may respond with a business acknowledgement the receipt of the instruction. The converter may report the order status e-document when production has been started and be completed. Inventory change gives an update on the raw material and converted stock. It can also include waste stock. The order status and inventory change documents can be repeated several times. The frequency is depending on the agreement between the partners. Benefits are lower converting processing costs, increased consistency throughout the process, more accurate stock levels, lower inventory, lower transaction costs, reduced staffing needs, for order and process management. Speed up process. Companies implementing this process increased customer service levels by reducing order fulfillment times. Moreover, suppliers can act more flexible by controlling the internal and external converting capacities. Conclusion. papiNet supports many different scenarios in the converting process for all participating market segments. In this webinar, we have covered 3 possible scenarios. Business partners, regardless of size and complexity, can benefit. For instance, various business departments such as customer service, planning and scheduling, or warehouse personnel. They can view and process these documents more easily and more efficiently. There is much to gain by implementing papiNet e-documents. papiNet user groups can support you in the implementation process.